What's up, people? So, today we're talking about cutlery and kitchenware in general, more specific, camping kitchenware. And recently, I've been on the hunt for viable camping kitchenware options, and I figured we'd take a look at what I've gotten so far, assess the pros and cons, and ultimately what I feel is my overall opinion of camping cookware, which is, I don't think is worth it. So let's assess it. Now, my kit is composed of the Czech mess kit replica by Miltech in stainless steel, Light My Fire box by I don't even know, what does it say? Made in Sweden. Well, whatever. I Light My Fire box, which is another issue that I've been having for years, just the shape of it. And then this bag here, which features, well, I've got like toothpicks and such here, some salt, peppers, just single serving salt, peppers, and some tea bags. I've got my tea towel. I've got a wooden spoon. I've got a foldable spork and just some plastic spoon knives, I guess, that I found in cereal boxes years ago. I just figured I'd throw them in my camping gear because I didn't know what to do with them and I didn't want to throw them away. And then I have this set here, a knife and a spoon, but no fork. I feel like an Italian going to Malta. I have a knife, a spoon, but no fork. I wanted a fork. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just check it out on YouTube, guys. But yeah, jokes aside, this whole search for cutlery was prompted because I'm missing my fork in this set, which has, has done me well for years. And the thing is, I lent it to my mom, and had it been anyone else, I would have been fuming, at the fact that they lost it. But seeing as it's my mom, she gets a pass. I'm still annoyed though. So the point is, I tried, I went online, searched for stuff, and then, I made a few purchases, and I figured I'd discuss the pros and cons. So the first thing that I ran into were these sporks in stainless steel. There were several colors. Some were like colorful, like rainbow colored almost. Some were black. I just opted for the standard stainless steel look. I like that. And I like the thickness. It's chunky. It's not the kind that you can bend with your hands. Not unless you really wanted to try, but you'd have to use both hands and quite a bit of force. So I'd say overall, really good, solid piece of cutlery. There is, that's the pro. The cons, the spoon is far too shallow. Look at that. There's barely anything. I mean, if I'm trying to eat soup with this, how am I ever gonna get any soup in my mouth? This is ridiculous. And then obviously it's a multi kind of purpose. Here it's got a bottle opener. Here I think it's a can opener. But yeah, the fork, coming to the fork, the pointy parts aren't so pointy after all. They're kind of dull and squared off. So I guess this would do okay for pasta or rice, but if we're looking at meat, trying to poke this through meat is going to be pretty horrible. It actually has a serrated edge on, on the side here, and it actually could be the best part of this spork. It feels somewhat sharp. It feels like it could actually cut through meat. But yeah, the main thing that you're going to use this for is either as a fork or as a spoon, and neither are great. So, yeah, for every one positive, there's like at least two negatives. So, yeah, I'm gonna have to put this one back up for sale. So I purchased this, and at the same time I purchased a bunch of other things. Or actually, no, I mean, when I purchased this, I got it, and then I figured it wasn't too good, so I bought a bunch of other things later, just to try a bit of everything and see eventually what I could come up with. So then I ran into a different seller, and I bought actually two sets of foldable cutlery, which stainless steel again. The fork is nice, actually, feels like a decent fork. The spoon, however, again, kind of shallow, a bit too shallow for me, so I'm not really liking that. And then the knife is I wouldn't even know. It's a little slim, as you can see, like really slim, really thin, and it's not really sharp. The only reason why it would cut through any meat is just because it's so thin. But other than that, it's not really that sharp, to be honest. Sorry for going out of focus, guys. But yeah, it's, as you can see, I'm pressing my finger into it. It's not really doing much. Look at that. Didn't cut through my finger, so pretty crap like that. The only good part, again, would be the fork. I give this one a pass. Decent fork, pointy bits over there. But the spoon and the knife, again, nah, that's a fail. So I'm gonna have to sell that again. By the way, these were $5 a piece. As I was getting to, I managed to get a little discount to €8 total. But with shipping and everything, it still ended up costing me like 12, 13 euros. So, yeah, no, actually more, closer to 14 euros. So almost 7 a piece. And yeah, I mean, as much as I like the idea, I like sporks. I generally like sporks. In fact, I bought one ages ago, just a spork in stainless steel. And by the way, guys, this one I bought from Temu, and the quality is pretty much the same. So that's another thing that dawned on me. Like, I'm buying from sellers here, but if they're just recycling shit that they, pardon me, if there's just recycling stuff that they just bought off Temu and then selling it, marking it up and selling it and elsewhere, then I thought to myself, well, hell, I might as well shop on Temu myself and pay pennies for what is otherwise pretty cheap gear, And by cheap, I do mean kind of crap, in terms of the quality, cheap and overall. But again, this spork, for example, I think I paid €2 or €3 shipped from Temu. So pretty good value. That set I paid, it was for €10. Seeing as I was buying a whole bunch of other things, I was able to get a little discount. Like, from the same seller, I got this titanium spork, which I was really intrigued about, and because I've never had titanium stuff in my life, by TI Artisan. And the things I really like this one, I have to say, a really nice lengthy spork that I can, I can just use and mix stuff well. That's the good thing about the spork. Like say if I have noodles or some kind of a broth with you know bits and pieces in there, or even rice, a risotto or something, I can just use the spoon, but also help break up the food with the spork end, with a fork end basically. And it's a pretty good length. So I think I might replace the wooden spoon simply because wooden spoons are great for everything, but the handle is a bit shorter. And most importantly, it's just easier to clean this, because this, once it's clean, is still going to be wet and soaking through the rest of everything else. So if I leave it in there, I don't want it to start molding or anything like that. I want to be able to just clean it quickly. And so this titanium spork, I have to say, was probably one of the two best purchases. The other, well, I wouldn't even say purchase. The other main thing that I got that I was really happy with actually was this pot holder. And this I actually got as a freebie from the seller that I got the spork and the two sets of foldable cutlery from. He just threw it in as a freebie. I asked if he had one, and he was really nice like that. So super stoked about this, because I've been looking for one of these for years, but always I keep finding ridiculous prices online, and I just can't condone just spending too much money on one of these things. And I would need this for my Czech meskit to use the frying pan slash plate. Effectively now I can use this as a frying pan, because before that, I was just whenever I deal with hot plates, I would just use my tea towel. But I'd still much prefer something where I can just grab it and So again, this is probably the other star of the whole bunch of purchases that I made. And last but not least, I purchased this other set that I found for something like €3, plus shipping ended up being 8. So still, not as expensive, obviously, as it could be, but I just wanted to check it out. And this set, for example, once again, we've got a decent fork, a really nice fork, pointy, a little irregular, as you can see, but pointy enough to where you can definitely use this for meat and everything. The spoon is decent too. It actually has a bit of depth, although I still think the spoon is probably the best out of all of them. The knife, however, is a little bit weird. Has this serrated edge, but is super blunt. So as you can see, I don't know if this will cut through meat, to be honest. Has a can opener. No, pardon me. I think this is a bottle opener. But the thing about this one, when I pick this up, it's just super thin. And this does say, see if you can read it. Sorry for the light, guys. There we go. 1880 188 ST or BST, something like that. Steel. I don't really know what the quality of it is, but look at this, guys. I can bend this thing with my hand. There it is. It's already crooked. So it's really flimsy like that. So I'm not entirely happy with this fix either. I mean, with this solution either. But again, I'm gonna say I'm probably gonna keep this one for now, because at least the spoon and especially the fork is what I needed. So I might end up keeping this set out of all of them. Definitely gonna keep the titanium spork. I really like that. Definitely keeping the pot holder. The rest is probably up for sale. The 2 sporks and the foldable cutlery set. And ultimately, the purpose of this video is just just to give you my 2 cents on the fact that I think that all this camping gear, is overrated. Just because most of the times, I think the best solution is just to find some cheap cutlery, standard cutlery that I think will work far better than these potentially more expensive options that fail short, every time. Pardon me, fall short every time of expectations, just because, see, even if one thing is okay, then the other two are crap, or thing is, this, like my firebox as well, has a spork, but this is plastic. I've never even used the spork. I mean, it's better than nothing, obviously, and I keep it with a set because that's what it is. But look what I have in here, guys. And yes, this is bent because, well, the thing is, this fork I stole from my high school cafeteria back in the day. And the reason I did so is because I didn't want to steal cutlery from my own house. I didn't have the heart to then face my parents and tell them, whatever. But the thing is, I needed cheap cutlery, and most importantly, I needed something that I could mold with my hands, because this wasn't gonna fit, in its straight form. So what I do every time is I just bend it slightly, like my firebox, and then whenever I have to use it, I just strain it back out and use it. And it's just been like that forever, for knives and spoons. Thing is, I don't really use spoons. I mean, obviously I have this set here, but you know, mainly what I need is a fork and a knife. I have, several knives, not necessarily kitchen knives, but knives that will actually cut through anything. So again, I think the best solution was still this old cafeteria fork, compared to all the other solutions that I was looking for, online. And that's the thing. Ultimately, my take on this is that camping cookware is just overrated, in my opinion. All these, nifty little designs to make things lighter and smaller and more compact and everything just doesn't add any functionality. In fact, if anything, it takes away from it. Can't seem to be doing this with one hand. Come on, then. See, that's another reason this Light My Firebox has been a bit of a problem, because it's such an odd shape. I can't even find a pouch to fit this in, and I had to put this little, string, this little cordage there just to keep the lid in place, because otherwise it would just tend to, this easily comes on and off. It doesn't even fully, close nicely. You really have to keep it together. But yeah, that's for another video, I guess. But ultimately, yeah, I guess what's the take from this video is that a lot of the times, you look for things that are, designed to make your life easier, at least, and when you want to go camping, hiking, and just use, the gear that is intended for that specific purpose. But I'm not finding it to be any better than regular cutlery. In fact, quite the opposite. I find it to be more expensive and rarely any better. Like, I like that titanium spork, but that's about it. All these other bits and bobs, I'm still trying to find just the one set. I don't want to have to carry multiple sets just to use one spork from here, one spoon from there. It's ridiculous. I still need to find eventually just the one set. But so far, I think I'm gonna stick with these two. And the fork from my high school cafeteria, which has served me well for years. The sporks and the foldable cookware, I feel like that's the thing. At least for the foldable cookware, this is Temu quality stuff. I could have definitely paid cheaper on Temu for sure. The sporks, once again, it's probably Temu stuff as well, just because even though the steel might feel stronger, the design is just flawed. Really shallow spoon and a really dull fork. So I don't care if the knife or the serrated edge on the side is the best thing, because I'm not the intended use for this is still to eat with, not to cut with. So it's still a fail in my opinion. What can I say, guys? I think this is getting a really lengthy video now. 20 minutes in, almost 21. So let's wrap this up. All in all, I still learned a lot from all these purchases. Ultimately, like I said, I think I'm going to stick to just some random cutlery that I've found over the years that has been cheap and that has served me well forever. And that probably will still serve me well for years to come without needing to spend any more money. That's, I guess, what I really wanted to convey in this video, taking a look at the various options that I was able to find online. But what can I say, guys? I hope I didn't bore you too much. I hope you learned something from this video. And as per usual, if you found it useful, be a good sport and drop a like. Helps me know that at least the videos I put out, someone appreciates it out there. Someone finds value in them. So at least I'm hoping that you find value from this mistake, this series of mistakes of just purchasing cutlery that isn't going to cut it, pun intended. So what can I say, guys? Thanks for watching, and I guess I'll see you on the next one.